Okay, welcome to the podcast. We're here today with Jason Scheibel from Netafim and Davey Rock, also from Netafim. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
You bet. Want to touch just a little bit today on who is Netafim, what's unique about them. Give us a little bit of the history of Netafim, where they came from, and what's the driving force behind Netafim today.
I'll go ahead and start. I'm Jason Scheibel, Regional Sales Manager for Eastern U.S. and Canada for our ag market, our ag division. So Netafim it started in Israel in the early 1960s, and it was founded by Kibbutz Hatzarim in the Negev Desert. And it was an interesting story from a gentleman, Simcha Bloss. And it was kind of, the way the story goes is he noticed a drip on a valve next to a tree, and that tree was much larger than all the other trees. And so he took that, he was an engineer, and he took that information and developed the technology of pressurizing a line with a smaller tube on the outside of that line, slowed down the water and created a drip. So that's kind of how that came about. So we just celebrated 60 years last year, and were founded in the U.S. in 1981. A lot of history as far as how the technology has developed since back then. But I think that's pretty much how and where it was founded. We've got 19 manufacturing plants across the world, multiple business units. So it's a very big business, become a very big business out of necessity in some places as far as conserving water and utilizing resources.
Yeah, I think from drip irrigation, it's really expanded into ultimately, although drip's a big part of what we do, just precision irrigation, and growing more with less, which is our slogan, right? And that really is kind of a mission of the company, based in the U.S. here out of Fresno, California, and Jason's out of Colorado. I'm out of Minnesota, but yeah, spread a couple different warehouses throughout the U.S. where we have, somewhat local manufacturing, and really kind of three places here that service the U.S.
Yeah. So drip irrigation, not a new technology at all, right? Like, think about 60 years of history, 60 years of development, perfecting things. Maybe give us a little more perspective on Netafim today. Like, what is unique about Netafim today that you're still on this journey of developing new technology, perfecting the systems? What does that look like today?
Yeah, so we've got a really cool chart that kind of shows the development of the technology of just the dripper itself. Over the years, we have a molded dripper that all of our drippers are molded in Israel still yet today, and then they're shipped to all the manufacturing plants around the world. I think as we look at the technology in the molded dripper itself, it's pretty neat and unique. It's been copied. A lot of people have tried to duplicate that. We still maintain all of the patents on that and whatnot. I think, there's some other things that go along with that as well. But from our streamlined dripper, which we use a lot in our retail markets, our vegetables, both east and west, then to our Typhoon dripper that we use in more harsher water conditions on more permanent crops, being like row crops, your market, the subsurface drip irrigation market, a lot in tomatoes. And then our Aries, which is our latest technology on our non-PC family of drippers, which again has got a more robust flow path, bigger inlet filtration, less clog resistance to, more turbulent in the corners of the dripper. And then we go to our pressure compensating dripper, which is our DripNet PC and Uniram. DripNet PC in both thin wall and heavy wall, the Uniram in our heavy wall product. So we've got a portfolio of products that have developed over the years that we use in different applications.
And kind of back to the beginning birthplace of Netafim, really it's when you think about, I was in Israel, I think it's been 8 or 9 years ago now, they literally made the desert bloom. by taking irrigation into a desert and bringing that technology into a place that was limited on water, and now have made Israel a breadbasket really of that part of the world. It's just an amazing journey of developing a system to fit an environment.
Yeah, and it was done out of necessity, obviously. I mean, limited resources, needing to grow food crops, and we see it here as far as our resources, our water resource being diminished or being reduced for various reasons. Like right now, this current drought that we're in. I live in Colorado, like Davey said, and I drove over the mountains last week and the week before last to Utah, and there's very little snowpack. So it's very concerning. We're going to have to do something different. We can't continue to do things the same way we have and expect a different result. So drip irrigation is one of those tools, I think, in the toolbox.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe give us a little flavor of your individual backgrounds. Davey, let's start with you and some of the skill sets that you bring to the irrigation industry and some of your
Sure.
backstory.
Sure. So I grew up on a farm ranch in Colorado. We also had a garden center, moved into tomato production where we ended up having about 11 acres of tomatoes that we grew hydroponically, organically for the Front Range of Colorado. So as I progressed through that, I used a lot of Netafim products. And I always thought, this is a good product. And if I ever didn't do this, I thought Netafim would be a good company to work for, to be able to represent, a product that was reliable. But really, when you look at like greenhouse production, you're controlling the environment and also controlling the irrigation. And so when you can reduce variables and give each plant the same amount of nutrient and water, then seeing that, is believing that, hey, if you can take this and begin to take some of the variables out, you begin to also, create stability in your livelihood and lifestyle that you can go to the bank with, so to speak.
Sure. And Jason, you've got a history in irrigation.
Yeah, pretty diverse, I would say. I went to college and did not get a degree in ag or irrigation, but I worked at the state college in Gunnison, Western State College at the time, and that's where I started in irrigation. Moved to work for a contractor in Montrose, Colorado. I worked for a distributor in Montrose, Colorado, and then also for myself on my own landscape and irrigation business. Where I started with Netafim was in Lubbock, Texas, where a lot of drip irrigation. So different mindset from sprinklers, and I mean, similar on the landscape side as far as drip irrigation is concerned, but on the crop production side of things, it was eye-opening, a learning experience for sure. Been with Netafim for 11 years now. I was a regional sales manager in that Texas area and moved up to Colorado and managed the territory up here where I met you guys. You guys came on 2012 as a dealer for us. So yeah, it's been a very rewarding career, I would say. And now I've got a team all through the eastern part of the U.S. When we say eastern U.S. for Netafim, it's east of California and the West Coast. I've got all the East and all of Canada. So
Big geography, a
Yeah.
lot of miles to cover.
yeah, sure.
Very good. Let's talk a little bit about the fact that Netafim, and really this is where Netafim and NutriDrip kind of mirror each other in the fact that we're not just, even Netafim is not just a manufacturer. Like there's a support team around agronomy, around system design. Like talk a little bit about the fact that how Netafim is not just manufacturing products. What else comes with it when a grower invests in drip irrigation?
Yeah, no, thanks for asking that question, because I think this is what sets us apart in the industry as a manufacturer is our people. And we've got a lot of experience from many different areas, both on the agronomic side and the manufacturing side. But I think just the diversity in our people, I think, is what sets us apart. So resources, support, Here in the U.S., we've got not necessarily agronomists that are on staff, but guys who have agronomy degrees that provide additional value in the field. We've got Davey and his experience as a grower that provides value in the field as well. So yeah, I think that's probably, when you look at your question, what's different. We're just not on the manufacturing side. We've got people who are actual growers who come to work with us. We've got agronomists, although we don't provide that agronomy support like you guys do. So yeah, and I think same with your team. I mean, you've got a diverse subset of people as well on your team that sets you guys apart in the industry as well.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, because as I think about, what does it take for a grower to invest in a system and be successful, you really need to be able to call on those years of experience of somebody who's done this before, who's made some mistakes, understands things like water quality or filtration at a deeper level to understand how to make these systems last for a long time. And so from a dealer standpoint, that's super important for me to be able to call on somebody that's got 20, 30, 40 years of experience. And we can certainly do that with Netafim.
But let me add one more thing to that. I think it's what to do, but even sometimes more importantly, what not to do, because of the experience that we have, and to be able to set that grower up to have the best experience with not only our companies, but with the products that we provide.
Sure. Yeah. And I would say that's even led us down the path. Today, a lot of our work is done with livestock producers with manure and effluent. And really, we took a lot of lessons from what Netafim was doing in California and moved those to the livestock producers in the Midwest and kind of adapted them to our scenarios, and have made that successful. So a lot of collaboration, we could say, of different technology and how to use it, how to put those systems together that ends up being a win for the grower. And really that collaboration happens not only in the US from state to state, but it also happens globally, right? Like we can call, I'm just thinking back to when we first started in manure separation. A lot of that information came from Israel, it came from Italy, it came from different parts of the world where they were doing some unique things. And then we figured out how to make it work here in the Midwest. Davey, any comments on that?
Yeah, I think that there's just a lot of value in being able to reach out worldwide, where we've potentially broken, fixed something, so you don't have to try to break it and fix it again. I think those are definitely values that can be added. And not everything has been created nor found out, and so the bigger portfolio that you have there, the better it is. And although we may not grow pecans here in Kansas as an example, but should you run onto a grower that runs and grows pecans, right? There's a ruled playbook that you can fetch from Netafim, so that at least you can understand the challenges that grower may have and the direction you might want to go. Say that it would be chestnuts as an example in the Midwest. So it's not just a piece of plastic that we try to, put out there. We try to put a very good product out there with also the support behind it.
Yeah, and that would be one thing that I would encourage folks to do who want to learn more is go to Netafim's website. And like Davey mentioned, there's best management practices or best growing practices specific for individual crops. That's really interesting to read through and pull on those years of experience.
Yeah, and I would add to that, our resources available to us in other business units that do have on-staff agronomists and water quality specialists that you've worked with in the past. I think that also strengthens that as far as our resources available to us.
Yeah. And let's maybe touch on that just a bit. So you both work in the Netafim agriculture division. What other divisions does Netafim have as well?
So we call specialty markets, which involves our landscape division, our mining division, our wastewater division. And then we've got a CEA, controlled environment ag division. It's really more of our greenhouse nursery side of the business. Those are probably our 5 main markets here in the U.S.
And then the mining.
Yep. The mining business is more western part of the U.S., but that would be under specialty as well.
Specialty part.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Very good. What maybe a final question for each of you? What gets you excited looking ahead the next year, next 5, next 10 years? What are you the most excited about what's in front of us?
I'll let Davey start.
I think working with progressive growers who see the value in what we bring as Netafim and also partnered up with NutriDrip, right? Seeing those folks who want to protect their livelihood for their children that are growing up a lot of the time that you're interacting with on these farms is great. It's not just a copy and paste of what granddad did. And so seeing them be progressive and open-minded to new thinking and then also securing their future. I think that's a key piece that I want to be a part of. I think the people that are embracing drip irrigation in this really more of an emerging market for us in the permanent drip side, longer term drip, not retape market. That brings excitement to me.
And I think like one of our taglines is growing more with less. And we see this, we talked about it in our meeting earlier today about, the drought, the conditions, the economy, the environment. So just being a part of something bigger, just watching your guys' family, kind of grow as your business is growing and to watch your kids come into the business, just seeing that generational shift and movement and just the excitement of what drip can provide as far as longevity and sustainability for ag overall.
Yeah, very good. Well, appreciate you guys' time today. That wraps it up for this episode of NutriDrip Groundwork Podcast. Thanks for listening to the Groundwork with NutriDrip. If you found today's conversation helpful, make sure to follow or subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. Thanks for joining us.